What's good, y'all? It's Rap Mythology, the reincarnation of Ramakrishna, Yoga Empath, bringing that brand new flavor in here. Alright, so I'm talking about movie Fences. The movie Fences, a really good flick for you to study narcissism and how it affects a family. You know what I'm saying? What it looks like in the family dynamic. They got everything in there. The flying monkey, the scapegoat, the golden child, the little girl at the end is the golden child. She's even got a golden complexion. You know what I'm saying? The two scapegoats, the empath. You know what I'm saying? So let's talk about it. Alright, so Denzel's character was, his name was Troy. Interesting name. You could probably do some more research on that. But he was really charismatic, really grandiose, typical overt narcissist. The film started off with him and his flying monkey, you know what I'm saying? He's in a conversation or whatever after work. They get a bottle of alcohol, you know what I'm saying? I think it's Friday, payday. And he's having a drink, energy vamping. Excuse me. Constantly bringing the conversation back on himself, you know what I'm saying? Also, there were many references to the devil in the movie. And I love the sense of spirituality, how it was subtle in the movie, just like how it's subtle in real life. They really did a really good job of recreating the subtleness of the spirit in the movie. You know what I'm saying? Towards the end, Denzel was having a fight with his son. You know what I'm saying? And he projected his own insecurities onto his son. He's like, yo, you got the devil in you. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But that was really how what was going on with himself, and I thought that was very interesting in this movie, how they put all that shit into play, you know what I'm saying, within the movie, and didn't leave that part out of it. But it's subtle though, you know what I'm saying? What made Denzel's character so interesting to me was that he was started to become aware of his demonic attachment, and he didn't know how to fight it. So he was kind of egging it on, like, come on, you can have me anytime you want, anytime you're ready, like, we could get it, you know what I'm saying, let's go. Instead of saying, get off me, get away from me, he's kind of like unknowingly inviting it in, you know what I'm saying? I thought that was real interesting about his character. His trauma was severe, you know what I'm saying? He got, his father beat him while he was making love to his girlfriend and chased him off and then raped his girlfriend, you know what I'm saying? And he got into a fight with his father and left the crib and whatnot. It was on his own since 14. So he was good in sports, but he had a long prison bid and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? So because of that, the timing wasn't right for him to make it pro. You know what I mean? He was real bitter because of that. So his whole thing was his kids. Like, he actually had a sincere intention. He was trying not to get his son to follow his dreams of football, but, you know, to get a job and to work or to get a trade. You know what I'm saying? So that he could have something that nobody could ever take away, which makes sense or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But it's a lot of pressure you putting on a kid or that young who hasn't kind of found his way yet. And you're forcing your kind of way, where everybody has their own individual path, but he's forcing his mentality in a way he grew up onto the son, you know, projecting that onto the son. And I think this has got to be in the, I would say, the 40s, 50s. Something like that, maybe the 50s. I don't think it's the 60s yet, possibly like the 40s and 50s or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So there was a different standard in society at that time. So it was interesting because his mask was a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for? His mask was a lot more disciplined. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot more within the constraints of society's expectations, right? Back then in the 40s and 50s, you know what I'm saying? It was like, you know, he made himself look like a decent brother, you know what I mean? But today, you know, those standards have gone down or whatever. So, you know, dudes is out here wilding, but it wasn't like that back then. So his mask is more honorable than the mask that you would see of a narcissist today. And you know, Denzel's a hell of an actor, so he did that to perfection. Rose. Now, Rose was an empath. You know what I'm saying? Rose is an empath. She's She's an enabler. She's an enabler. She, whatchamacallit, Troy provides the security with the house, the job. He gives her his full check. When he gets paid on Friday, he dumps the whole paycheck out on the table, lets her keep it, divvy up the funds or whatever for the house, and he, you know what I'm saying? But that's his way of maintaining control over her, though. You know what I'm saying? He owned the house and then provides the money or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So he felt like he could just run around, you know what I'm saying, do whatever he wants as long as he did those two things. As long as he paid that money, you know what I'm saying, he provided the home. He's like, I could stay out as late as I want or whatever, you know what I'm saying. I could do what I need to do like on my own time, you know what I mean? Cause y'all want to leave, like I got this shit under control, you know what I'm saying. That's how he maneuvered it. So Rose enabled him, like, you know what I'm saying. Her trauma was, her parents had um, different mates and whatnot. So she had brothers and sisters that, with different mothers and fathers. So, this affected her, her psyche somehow. And she was trying so hard to raise the family right, keep everybody together, and not have this instance with different children with different fathers and mothers in the family. You know what I'm saying? She was trying her best to avoid this, but it ended up happening to her anyway. And I've seen this happen to people. This is why it's good to watch these movies, because you'll be able to spot this out, and your families and friends easier. You know what I'm saying? They won't catch you, you know, in a long-term relationship, a long-term friendship, business partnership, because you recognize these traits fast when you pick them up in the characters in the movies. But this one is just straight about the narcissistic family dynamic, so it's a really good one to watch. So Rose was codependent, an enabler, and an empath. You know what I'm saying? Now, you got to pay attention to the paintings on the walls in this movie. Jesus is everywhere on the wall. You know what I'm saying? The heart, unconditional love. You know what I'm saying? Jesus is symbolic of the heart. He's all over the wall. Martin Luther King is on the wall. You know what I'm saying? With the Mahatma Gandhi philosophy. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna peacefully protest. And then John F. Kennedy was on the wall, and he actually was really against like the Freemasons and Illuminati, all that shit. He was like against all that secrecy and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So that was ironic that he was up there. The oldest son, he had some of his dad's traits. He energy vamped a little bit. You could see certain instances or whatever. You know what I'm saying? He might have been like more of a crisis narcissist or something like that, something of that nature. But he was, not at the high. His range of narcissism wasn't that high. He energy vamped a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But he had to keep. He was about 34. He had to keep reliving his trauma of his dad not being around, seeing him make accomplishments when he was young. When he reconciled with his dad when he was older, he would come to him like, "Yo, Dad, I'm playing at the Lavis Club in the city tonight. Like, you should come through. I'll give you passes, whatever. It'll be lit." And his dad would always be like, or Troy would always be like, "Nah, I'm good." You know what I'm saying? I'm good. I'm too old to be up in them places. I can't mess with that Chinese music. You know what I'm saying? Just giving them excuses and passive aggressively, shooting low blows at him too and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So every time he went to go chill with his pops, and he would ask him, "Yo, come through, come through," and his pops would always say, give him an excuse. Nah, nah. He would have to keep reliving his trauma of his pops not being there. You know what I'm saying? When he was younger and seeing him have these achievements. And I went through the similar thing with my mother, where I have a conversation with her. You know what I'm saying? And about 10 minutes into the conversation, when it's getting juicy, she's like, "Yo, I gotta go." This is like clockwork every time. I gotta go. But I'm like, damn, we ain't seen each other our whole lives. Like, we having good conversation here. You don't want to, like, keep talking or whatever. But I never would say this or whatever. I would just go. You know what I'm saying? Peacefully. I didn't want to push her away. I'm figuring, like, at least we're having some type of conversation. But it's hurting me, you know what I'm saying? Every time that it's happening, I had to become aware of this. And you know what I'm saying? Put it to a stop. Gabriel was the illest character in the movie. He was like angelic. Watch the times when he comes around. Watch the times when he comes around. He always diffused energy. He was like a protection, guardian angel type of energy. He was always talking about St. Peter's, open up the gates of heaven. Dude was wild funny and shit. You know what I'm saying? He was always chasing the hellhounds. I guess he was a little slow. But the funniest part, son, at the end of the movie, Troy died and shit at the end of the movie and shit, right? And they buried him. They all in the backyard. He be walking around with this trumpet and shit, you know what I'm saying? Saying that he's gonna open up the gates of heaven, you know what I'm saying, for the judgment or whatever. Him and St. Peter's gonna open up the gates of heaven and shit for the judgment. He's got the trumpet with him so he could blow the trumpet. Nigga had me dying throughout the whole movie, son. So so everybody's in the backyard and shit. He's like, Troy, I'm gonna blow the trumpets for them to open up the gates of heaven. I'm gonna have St. Peter open up the gates of heaven. Troy, you're gonna be good. You know what I'm saying? The nigga went to go blow the trumpet. He was like, like no sound was coming out of that shit whatsoever. That shit was the funniest thing ever, son. He couldn't get no sound to come out that shit, son. Then finally he got a little sound, and this is how they always flip this shit in movies. Let me tell you this shit. So he gets the sound, right? He looks up, and the clouds start to separate, and the sun, you know what I'm saying, comes out. And then Gabriel was like, yeah, that's how that go, whatever, and walks off, insinuating that, you know, Troy went to heaven. But what actually in real life, what happens is when you go into that light, they're showing you that light and trying to make it seem like that's heaven. But you're going back into the cycles of reincarnation. You're being programmed to this, you know what I'm saying? As a soul, they keep showing you this light, and that's heaven. When you go into that light, you go into the cycles of reincarnation. You got to go into the darkness, you know what I'm saying, to get up out of here. And the son, you know what I'm saying, he was pretty normal. He was a tough kid, you know, strong. He reminded me of myself a lot, how he would dip and dodge. He would see Troy coming and he would just bounce. Like once he started like not giving a fuck anymore. I remember when I got to that point where I just didn't give a fuck anymore. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm out. Like, I don't care what you say. I'm not listening to you. And I was dealing with a woman. He had it tougher because he was dealing with a man. You know what I'm saying? So I was a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? I had a little more advantage in that area. You know what I'm saying? But he was dealing with a man and shit. But it looked like the curse could have got passed down again at the end. You know what I'm saying? At the ending, he didn't want to go to his pop's funeral and shit, but his mother made him go or whatever. And it was kind of like the way that he could have kind of cut the cord or whatever is by that could have been his way of releasing his father. But she didn't allow him to do that because, you know, pride and ego, and that's your dad and all of that. But it was more of a thing with the psyche. So they made it seem like and then he went into the military. You know, that's going to mess you up even more. He was a Marine or some shit. You know what I'm saying? So they made it seem like he was probably going to carry on this curse or whatever into the next, you know, into his family and whatnot, into the next generation. That's what it kind of seemed like they were alluding to towards the end of the movie. Troy's flying monkey was ill. Bono was like me, flying monkey like me, wise and studying and watching shit, and you know what I'm saying, peeping people's mistakes, and you know what I'm saying. Like he was a flying monkey, but he was a wise flying monkey though. You know what I'm saying? Watching everything, learning from mistakes the whole time, studying shit. You know what I'm saying? Word. He was fooled by the mask too, but then the way he told Troy how like he understood who he was really about and he was moving on. The shit was so smooth, some real OG shit. He was a real OG, smooth. I like this style, smooth OG shit. You know what I'm saying? They had did a bid together. That's where they met or whatever. But they grew apart. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going through that shit too. So, but I can relate to Bono in that movie as a flying monkey. Alright, so I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna leave some parts out. You know what I'm saying? You probably want to go see the movie or whatever, and then come here or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But there's a lot more in there, but I'm gonna let y'all just give y'all a little bit, the juicy parts and shit, you know what I'm saying? And great film to study if you want to study the dynamic of narcissism in a family, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, just doing these types of things just helps you you're more skilled at pointing this out, you know what I'm saying, amongst people or whatever, in your environment. We're going to leave that one there. Rap mythology, the reincarnation of Ramakrishna. Yoga Empath, bringing that brand new flavor in your ear. Peace.